Jacksonville, Florida, a striking blend of coastal beauty, southern character, and big city energy. Set along St. Johns River on Florida's northeast coast, the city stretches across an expansive landscape shaped by the water.
Water and the environment are major concerns for Jacksonville residents who closely monitor water quality, conservation, and environmental protection.
With 1,100 miles of navigable waterways, the most shoreline of any city in the United States, Jacksonville residents frequently engage in local elections and community discussions about how to best to protect the city's rivers, wetlands, and vulnerable neighborhoods. In the 2024 presidential election, the city as part of Duval County showed a very close split between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Florida as a whole, however, was won by Trump, who received nearly 56% of the vote statewide compared to Harris's approximately 43%. Making sure the river's voice is heard in every room where decisions are made is the St. Johns Riverkeeper.
So to me, the river is home, right? There's this peaceful aspect to being on the river, just seeing the river. It kind of takes the load off at the end of a day or the beginning of a day. Some people like to go to the beach and do their sunrise walk. I like to look at the river.
Soraya Dinajad is the Ecological Science Director for St. Johns Riverkeeper. She leads vital data collection, environmental assessments, and science-based solutions to preserve watershed health.
An issue that we have, especially in the lower St. Johns River, our tributaries are struggling. The water quality aspect of our tributaries, especially. We have about 144 tributaries in Duval County alone, and about 61 of those tributaries are their water is not attaining standards, and so that's about 42% of tributaries not attaining standards just for fecal coliform bacteria alone. When you have waste decomposing in an ecosystem, it depletes the oxygen in the water column, so that leads to things like habitat loss and fish kills. And then it can also lead to the loss of submerged aquatic vegetation, which is basically like the kidneys of the river, because it shades and it doesn't provide enough sunlight in order for the sunlight to get down to the aquatic vegetation. So that's more of the depletion of the ecosystem part, but then you have the human health criteria concern where people that recreate water bodies and tributaries like Ribault River and Moncrief Creek, if you boat, if you go fishing, if you wade in the water, any recreational activity in these tributaries where you have contact with waters that have high levels of fecal bacteria are at risk. It can lead to things like gastrointestinal issues, skin rashes, even respiratory issues.
While Soraya lays out the science, the data points, the ecological signals, the quiet warnings the river offers, the work then shifts to mobilizing the community around it. That's where Trey Ford, Riverkeeper's Director of Strategic Partnerships and Programming, steps in. Trey is the person who turns scientific insight into public engagement.
That's my job, is to really find new people to engage with us who care about this work and get people out of silos so that we can all work together on things like water quality, water access, etc.
To encourage community involvement, Trey said the organization provides unique opportunities for residents to connect with the local environment firsthand.
One of the best ways to get people to actually steward something or care about it is to show it to them, let them know about it. So the reason that we have boat trips is to give people that water access different than they've had in the past. And what I love about the boat trips, even for people who've grown up in the area, some of them have never seen their house or the Jacksonville from the water, from this part of the water.
Trey's work also involves building coalitions that bring residents, institutions, and local leaders into the same conversation.
So in this neighborhood, it's in the Ribault area, it's a neighborhood of historic African-American homes and folks who have lived in legacy neighborhoods like Sherwood Forest, Harbor View, Lake Forest, and Ribault, and they have been living there over decades. And these are places where folks have built homes, sent their kids to school, and had opportunity to build a relationship with the waterway. The waterway has been one for active community events and for fishing, boating, and in recent times, the St. Johns River dredging has caused some concern in the Ribault River tributary, and that's been raised because of the quality of the waterway. And so what we're looking to do is understand the water quality and what can be done to improve it so that folks who are living there can still access that waterway and enjoy the benefits of it.
Christopher explains that this work sits at the intersection of environmental protection, climate mitigation efforts, and housing security, a braided approach that treats these issues as interconnected rather than separate.
Stable, healthy neighborhoods led by residents and their desires to remain or return are respected. And so when we can look at the river as an asset, as a place to bring people together and actually build and improve the quality of life, that's the future that I see.
Antoinette Wells, chairperson of the Lake Forest Hills Next Door Community Network in Renault Scenic Park, shares that vision for the future. From her kitchen window, Wells views the Ribault River.
This beautiful river, this little hidden gem on the north side of Jacksonville.
Wells became an advocate for keeping the park clean. She began picking up trash, including hazardous items like needles.
So I was kind of adamant about letting people know that I can see them from the kitchen window. And there were a lot of times where men would just pull up real fast and think they're doing their business, and I'll say, hey, I can see you. And so it's deterred quite a bit. It's calmed down a great deal. My slogan is helping the neighborhood one house at a time. And those neighbors that need minimal, like small repairs under 500, helping them with neighborhood beautification competitions and contests, just so they can develop some pride that just because we're on the north side, it's important that we keep our yard and keep our property just as nice as the other sides of town. And that's what I want to encourage, a pride, some sort of pride. You don't have to pass by the trash that's there. You know, let's pick up and let's make our neighborhood just as beautiful as the other sides of town. And it starts right here at this Ribault River.
For many communities in Jacksonville, the St. Johns River and its tributaries have long been a vital source of life and connection. These waterways do more than provide resources. They bring families and neighbors together around a shared table.
My grandparents, they went fishing quite a bit. We would go crabbing. You know, it was just a lot of resources that we gained from the waterway. And then, you know, the fish, the crabs, you know, that then turned into family gatherings. You know, we have crab boils or fish fry. And, you know, all that played a big part in just my life here. We love to gather around a crab boil, blue crabs especially. And that's something that you can find in any waterway here in Jacksonville. So, you know, that was a lot of my interaction with it, just around, you know, the life that's in it, and then, you know, bringing that waterway to our table, and then, you know, just bringing family and the community together.
Marsha Ray Wellington told me about a community-focused festival showcasing environmental efforts using oysters to address local impacts of climate change.
So Oyster Fest is a festival that we decided to put together to bring the community together around the efforts that we're making with the oyster. We are using oyster posh modules to help us to fight against some of the challenges that we're having because of climate change. So we're experiencing a lot of stronger storms, you know, these days, and so our waterfronts are really taking taking just a beating because of that. We've got the water that's coming into the property, so it's taking away. We've got erosion, and then our water quality isn't the best, because stormwater drainage hadn't been handled properly, with organizations. So we are working to hopefully re-establish that those natural water line so that we can prevent the erosion that's happening. And then we're using oysters because oyster is a filtering creature. So we're using that as that living shoreline to hopefully protect our shoreline, as well as help to filter the pollutants that's in the water as well. So the goal is to not only protect our properties, but then also hopefully we can have a healthier waterway. So as we continue to interact with it, we're pulling food from it, it's healthier for us.
Grassroots community-based groups like the Riverview Collective Community Organization can't shoulder this burden alone. To protect local water quality, the government must take a far more active role.
Then we also need just stronger, more strict laws and policies for organizations, businesses, that impact our waterway. A lot of the pollutants that we find in the waterway today is because of, just them not handling their stormwater properly. So, it plays a big part, in when government kind of steps in to help hold, especially those larger organizations, hold them accountable for just how they're handling their waste and just what contributions they're making to the waterway, whether it's good or bad. We definitely need just more support in that.
In a city shaped by water, it's the residents who are shaping the river's future, not only as advocates, but as neighbors and storytellers, as everyday stewards of a river that carries their history and their hope. In Jacksonville, Florida, I'm Hugo Alta.